Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Overcut. Following on from what was probably one of the best races of the Super League season, actually, the United States Grand Prix at the circuits of the Americas. Really entertaining race. Lots of battles throughout the fields with a little bit of controversy sprinkled on top. But well, it was a familiar face at the top of the standings with Petter Burlak once again taking the win. So let's start getting involved. Come say hi. If you want to have a chat with me and stuff, join the room. You know what to do. This is our third episode now, so I mean, come on, you guys, you shouldn't be shy now. But yeah, let's crack on with the race. So the drama kind of started before the race, really. There's a bit of controversy over Edge Esports and their engine allocation. Basically, you have a certain amount of engines available for the entire season, and Edge has exceeded that, which you're allowed to do, but with a penalty of fine and back of the grid. However, the rules have been interpreted a little bit different, and they seem to have found a little loophole, which kudos to them. We did something similar with the R&D earlier on in the season. And so they were able to take the new engine, but they've figured out that, from what I can understand, they didn't have to use it straight away, and they could still take the penalty and then save the engine for later on in the season without any penalty. So they chose the extra engine on a race where they already had a back of the grid penalty, took the penalty with the new engine, but didn't use the new engine. Ta-da. As far as I can see, that's how it's gone through. There's a couple of people that obviously weren't too impressed with that. A couple of other people applauded them for figuring it all out, and yeah, I'm sure during the off season that will be cleared up good and proper. So yeah, there was a little bit of controversy. We were expecting Edge to be at the back of the grid, but in fact, no, they were at the front of the grid. Obviously, they were joined by ACR again with Alex Siebel. There was the usual suspects up at the top, really. That's right. It's Per Burlak on pole with Yalti in on second. So it was an Edge 1-2 when a lot of people might have thought they might have been right at the back. So how about that for a turnaround? Siebel was fourth as he continues to stride towards his first ever Super League championship. And they were split by Yannick Bock of Evolution Motorsports in third place. And another really solid performance from Yannick, who continues to impress. I'm sure give him a full season next season, and he's going to be right up there challenging. A couple of other shout outs. Mad Cape did nicely in qualifying with Queekle. He came in seventh, which was a solid performance for them on a car that still isn't really all that good. And his teammate Daniel Brewer, rounding out the top 10. Just a little side note, Risto Capit, the other ACR, got eighth. So both Edges and ACRs in the top 8, exactly where you'd expect them to be at the tail end of the championships. They're fighting it out for the teams. And then, yeah, onto the race itself. Apart from Burlak, it was a exciting race. I think he said in the broadcast himself he had quite a boring race, but they're the best ones to have when you're starting on pole. No dramas from the start. Pit stops were all fine. Had a healthy gap over his teammate to begin with, and then eventually Siebel. And yeah, wasn't really pressured at all throughout the entire race. Exactly what he needed. What he didn't need, though, was his teammate to have a engine failure. So again, engines come back into it. A brand new engine. Well, no, it wasn't a brand new engine for Yao, as far as I'm aware. And yeah, it went up in smoke whilst he was running in third. Major problems for Edge in the team standing. I think that's basically handed it to ACR now. And then also it promoted Siebel. Well, it kept Siebel in second. He wasn't going to be pressured towards the end of the race, and he could just bring the car home. And that's exactly what he needs to do, really. He's got such a lead over Burlak in the driver's standings that he can afford just to take second. I'm sure he would rather win. That's probably more his style. But at the end of the day, maths wins overall, and he just needs to finish second, and he'll be fine. So, yeah, those two were obviously quite happy with the result. But then you look at third place, and you got Dennis Jordan. Now, you'd expect Dennis Jordan to be on the podium. Won the race in Italy, of course. But what we got to bear in mind is that Dennis Jordan started at the back with a back of the grid penalty. And so to get up to third is no mean effort. That's a quite astonishing performance. A lot of people are suggesting that he should be an ACR next year. I don't really think he's going to. He's got a good thing going with Evolution. He runs Evolution. So if he wants to pack up his own team, Epic won't complain. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think he's enjoying running his own team as well. And he gets to lead the team as such rather than potentially playing second fiddle to Siebel. I mean, I think they'd be awfully close if they were in the same car. But yeah, either way, that's one for the silly season to get stuck into. Off the podium, you had David Fidek, who's nicely returning to form. I have a point to pick about Fidek. I'm pretty sure it's the fuel we've been giving him at Epic Racing and the ITC series. I'm pretty sure he snuck some of that into the Nordjern car. And lo and behold, he's now up to fourth. So one to keep an eye on, perhaps towards the end of the year, as other drivers perhaps become a little bit more disinterested, which perfectly happens at the end of the season if there's nothing to race for. Yeah, you can find motivation goes down a little bit. One of those things, perfectly natural. And then running out the top five, another driver coming from the back of the grid, and one I'm very happy that he did, Jeffrey Fournier of Epic. Once again, threw down some excellent moves that he's becoming really renowned for now. His internet didn't play up, which we were really because it was Yannick Bock, wasn't it, who dropped out about a third of the way into the race. He had a disconnect whilst he was in third, so quite gutting there. But yep, Jeffrey's held strong, so reaped the rewards there. A couple of other notable performances. Both Mad Cape drivers were in the top 10, which is quite important for the relegation standings in Super League. So every year, the bottom team of historically the last 3 seasons, I think, average points get relegated down to Super Cup. Right now, I do believe it's now mathematically impossible for Red Bull Street Fighter to actually overtake the next team ahead of them, which I think is still Mad Cape. It might be Storm, one of the two. So yeah, unfortunately, I think it's curtains down for Red Bull and Street Fighter, which is a shame. It is a big shame. They're a nice team. They've got 2 lovely drivers in Flo, Gaia, and Francic. Was it Francic? No, Francic didn't race today though, did he? It was Ben Hall who had to step in again at like a minute's notice or something, which was crazy. And there's a bit of a question mark over his contract or something like that, which I read on Discord. So whether that happens or not, I don't know. But they seem like a nice team. A group of proper racers who just unfortunately went the wrong way with their car and couldn't recover in time. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's curtains drawn for them. So what happens to them in the off season, we wait and see. So let's start getting involved with some people. We've got some people in the green room, which I'm really thrilled to see. Let's have a look. Who should we bring in first? So we've got David Fidek, Dennis Jordan, Robert Strachan, or Tyler Parker. So, shall we bring Dennis Jordan in first of all? Seeing as I was just singing his praises. Let's bring him in, shall we?
At that point wasn't. Oh, hi.
Hey, Dennis.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, did I catch you mid-flow there?
Yeah, I was just telling a story.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm sure you can resume it in a few minutes' time. Cracking race. That was incredible coming from the back of the grid there to finish on the podium. How do you feel it went from your point of view?
I think it looks better than it should have been, because the engine flow of Jarl and the disconnect of Yannick, that like it's not the way I would have wanted the podium because they were clearly fast and I wouldn't have got them. Still nice result, and yeah, it was a fun race.
Yeah, well, you've got to take advantage of the luck that's given to you sometimes, haven't you? I mean, you did most of the hard work anyway coming from the back of the grid. It was quite astonishing drive. The broadcast picked up a lot of your battles and you threw down some mega moves. So we were all impressed. I'm sure if you have a look at the chat on the broadcast after this, you'll see a lot of people like saying, "Oh, get him an ACR now. He should be an ACR. Give Sibo a run for his money next season," stuff like that. I mean, what do you
I
feel
don't.
when you see your name linked to a team like ACR? I know Evolution work quite closely with them anyway, but how does that make you feel? Do you feel like you've made it, or do you still feel like you have something else to prove?
To be honest, I don't really care because I mean, it doesn't really make a difference if if it's ACR or Evolution or any other team. Kind of, you always try to do your best, but I mean, it's nice if people acknowledge that you're trying, and I think you often see it, yourself maybe more when you succeed, but if others see it too, it's always a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I agree with you there. It's just nice to have that achievement recognized as such, isn't it? A lot of hours everyone puts in, and you get to reap the rewards as well, which is obviously a good position to be in. So, Evolution, I'm pretty sure they've wrapped up third place in the teams now. I'd love to say we have a chance of taking you guys, but I think
I mean, you
mathematically
you
it's very difficult.
you scored one more point today, so
Yeah, one more point's not going to do it, is it?
let's see.
Looking back on the season, it's got to be considered a big success for you guys. It's your first year in Super League, and you're going to finish third. That's quite an achievement.
Well, I think I'm really lucky to be with a group of guys that have really high standards. So now saying that it could have been much better is maybe sounds wrong, but I think we always aim for the win, for the best result possible, and always push ourselves to the maximum. So I think we had a bit of a slow start and some bad races on ourselves here and there, maybe some bad luck too. But I think if we can get third place in the standings in the end, then it would be a nice result.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And I trust you guys are going to be back for 2019 as well. Casting one eye onto the future, is there anything you'd particularly like to see Super League change or develop or anything like that in for the next season?
Well, overall, I'm pretty happy to be honest. I think especially in the race, despite what many people say about the tires, when you see all these tires smoking and qualifying, I think in the race they're actually really really well done. So I love that about the season. I mean, if I could choose now everything that I want, I would kind of go back to refueling and stuff like one shot qualifying and all that kind of stuff. But I think Super League always wants to stay close to what real Formula One does at the moment. So I think we're on good, in a good path, not changing a lot and just optimizing what we have right now.
Yeah, excellent. Great. Okay, Dennis. Well, thank you very much for a quick chat. Once again, cracking job today. You were my driver of the day. You did really well, and that pains me. That pains me because obviously we were in a bit of a fight with you. So no, great job again, and we'll see you at the next round.
Thanks.
Dennis Jordan there. Too good. Too good. Right, let's have a look on the stream, see if we've got any chats. It's just Simon. Do you remember Simon from the last episode? And my ghost producer just having a quick chat. Come on, guys, if you want to get involved on the YouTube chat, feel free, don't be shy. You can ask some questions, maybe respond to some questions that I might give you as we go along. Okay, who else we got waiting for a quick chat? Who should I pinch out without any warning? Let's go for David Fidek. So once again, David had a lovely race up to P4. I'm going to probe him a wee bit as to how he got to P4. Let's have a go. Hello, David.
Good evening.
Mr. Fidek. Excellent race once again. P4. You seem to be coming back into the form of old. How does it feel?
Old.
Old.
It felt good, that one. It felt much more like the end of 2016, and I've not felt the car underneath me like that for the last year and a half. So it was good to get the balance right for once, and working out these tires a bit more. So I'm able to push a bit harder during races.
Good. And yeah, I mean, talent, you never lose talent, do you? And obviously, with your past record, a couple of championships to your name and stuff, it was just a matter of time, really, once you kind of got the car under you, do you think? You never really lost faith?
No, don't. If I lost belief in myself, I wouldn't be here. Simple as that. But I'm trying to just work my way around like how people are setting a car up. Like Petter's lap was unbelievable in quali, and I'm always losing like 5-6 temps to ACR Edge.
How much do you think that's down to the car?
Earlier in the season, I thought all of it because it was like 1 second around France, and it's slowly coming down now. Like if I hooked up, I don't know if every session no one hooks up their best lap, but if I hooked my best lap up that session, I would have been around P3. So I'm hoping it's just a few temps off with the setup, but we'll never know until we're in the same car back in Australia next year. So
yeah, absolutely. So 2 races left to go. I think you said on the broadcast your target is Jeff. I'm going to take a little bit of bias and say nah, but you never know. What's your? I mean, Interlagos and Abu Dhabi. I mean, quite different tracks. How are you going to approach either? Just full on, like no holds barred, just crack on and see where it gets you, or is there some kind of strategy you can take into it? I don't know how the engine front is with you guys. I don't know if you're looking at any penalties going forward, but how are you approaching the last 2 races?
Yeah, I mean, I just looked at the points table and I didn't realize Jeff was that far in front. So
yeah,
I'll stay here. Yeah, Brazil, we are buying a new engine, so I'll be at the back for that one. And it's all to aim for a nice end to the season. Abu Dhabi is a track I go really well at. It suits my driving style. I've won there a few times. So yeah, the aim is to be. I want that podium by the end of the year, and Abu Dhabi will be my best chance. So I've got to really. I don't think I'll test 1 lap of Brazil. I'm just going to do 4 weeks of Abu Dhabi. I think just to make sure I get everything right.
I'm sure it'll be probably the most popular podium of the year if you do manage to get onto there. So, well, fingers crossed. Like I said, as long as it's not at the expense of Jeffrey in the championship standings, that's fine by me. So, just last question: looking back on the year as a whole, what kind of lessons have you learned? Do you feel you've improved as a driver? Do you feel like your approach to GPVWC's changed at all? How's the season evolved for you?
Most people will listen to this and say I'm stupid, especially after 2014 and 15-16. But I honestly feel this season I'm driving better than I ever been. And it's just for the lower end of the points. I feel more consistent. I'm pushing the car harder than I ever done before. I don't know if I'm quicker. I don't know. I might go back on an old mod and see just to check. But I really do feel good under with the car right now and in myself. So I'm really hoping that next year, something with the mod changes, like with the tires, because I cannot feel what goes on with these tires. I'm more old school.
Yeah.
But the season as a whole, I mean, you just got to look at the table. It's been a shocking season. Oh. I've raced now since 2005, and every season I've finished in the top 3 of the championship. This is the first year I've struggled this bad and I've not won a race. I've not done that ever before. So
yeah,
it's a big learning curve, and it's given me different experience within racing. It's made me appreciate racing more, what goes on around me. My racecraft is better. Obviously, I got the overtake. I think I've done most overtakes of the year because I've had to.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's been a big learning curve, and I have enjoyed it to a certain point. But when you race your arse off lap after lap and you finish P16 like in China, then it is nothing more depressing than that. And it's you just want to like go helmet, hook, bye. But like I said in broadcast, I'm not a quitter. I would never give up on a race, a team. I abide by my contract. I'm an honest person. So yeah, I'm gonna do what I can for the rest of the year. And yeah.
Yeah, of course you got ITC with us as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing how you get on both fronts. Really, yeah, perfect. Great job, David, and we'll see you again in a week's time at ITC.
Yeah, we've got a title to take, haven't we?
Yes, we do indeed, sir. Cheers, David.
Cheers.
David Fiddick there. He seems to be really bang on form now, doesn't he? He seems to have got his spark back, which is great to see because he's a paddock stalwart. I think he's one of the most popular guys around here. So, yeah, it's great to see that he's back on pace, and long may it continue. So, let's have a quick look at the comments on Discord. So, a couple of people complimenting Cliff. Cliff van der Vin's made his debut. So he's been lighting up Formula Challenge since he joined about halfway through the season. I think it was Spa, maybe that was his first race. He's done a couple of Super Cup races, and then sure enough, he's been picked up by Red Archer to see out the season with them for the last couple of races. He's not quite so convinced that he had a good race, but for your first race, it's always a steep learning curve of Super League. So I'm sure as he gets a bit more time with the car, his talent will shine through because he's obviously a fast driver. You look at his Formula Challenge performances, and he's done well. And he's our junior driver as well. So I'll just mention that before anyone tries to pinch him. Right. What other comments are there? So there's Boyer as well. So Boyer's had a bit of there's a lot of controversy at the end of the race with the Mad Capes. There was a bit of fisticuffs on the track, shall we say. Boyer's not too impressed. I might have to do some team management, which is one of those things. A couple of silly Horrell to Epic. I'm sorry, Ben. I like you. I respect you, but I'm not entirely sure that's going to work out. Boyer saying Michael Ayres to Epic so he doesn't crash us anymore. Kind of appreciate that, but at the same time, again, I don't think that's a really good fit. Boyer, I think you should just stay, mate. It's a lot easier for both of us, especially if I then have to hire Alex instead. That's not going to happen. Right then. So, who else have we got in the green room? Let's have a bit of an alternative take. So we've got a team manager and we've got a race strategist in the green room. We're going to go for the race strategist first. So this is Tyler Parker. He commentates on some of the junior series now and again, but he's also our race strategist for Epic in the Super League series. So it'd be interesting to get a different perspective from him. Let's bring him in and see what he has to say.
You on the side of the road. Oh, hey, hello.
Oh, Tyler. Again, my perfect timing. This is amazing. I love it. This is the best part of Overcut, I think, just like dragging people in. I'm like, you caught me with my pants down.
Yeah, we were just talking about Jarl Tyan's barbecue that he was having at Coda. Very
tasty,
Texan. Very Texan of him. Very Texan of him.
Of course it is, yeah. Oh, brilliant. So, Tyler, how was your home GP from your point of view? I mean, obviously you weren't racing, but
No.
did you find it entertaining from a strategist point of view? Quite a few strategies that took place there.
Yeah, it was really interesting how Dennis really accentuated that undercut almost to the point of craziness there. I think he came in with like 6 laps or something into the Grand Prix and really exploited that. But no, I think, I mean, from my end, I think we did, as far as Epic is concerned, we did as much as we could to get what we got. Were aided, I guess, by some DNFs, which, you know,
Sure.
you're going to have some of those here and there. But
Yep.
just, I mean, the thing that got me and I think that got everybody was just the pace. So that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was rapid, wasn't it? It was quite astonishing, the sort of lap times at the front of the field. It was relentless as well, wasn't it? No mistakes by the front guys, which is what you'd expect in Super League. And yeah, just like the tiniest error was paid for quite big. So it was the undercut, really. I think I mentioned that to you during the race, wasn't it? The undercut was so strong there. What do you put it down to?
It was and it wasn't. I think the biggest thing, I mean, we were able to get an overcut on Rate Kilk, actually, and then he passed us. Borja was able to, and then he passed us, and then we got him back. But it was only about a lap overcut. Trying to do a bigger overcut than that, I think, would have put you on the back foot. I think the biggest thing was like trying to time out where you were going to come out in traffic, because Coda is long enough where if you're able to get in that traffic and really put down some fast laps there, or get into a situation to where you can kind of hold people up behind you. I hate to say hold people up, but, you know, sort of like manage it that way.
Sure.
I think that would work out to the best on this track. But I think really traffic and making sure that you didn't lose momentum. To me, Coda is a
Of
really
course,
big
yeah.
momentum track. And if you get held up behind somebody on worn tires through that S's section or that stadium section, the
Yep.
sector
Yep.
3, you just lose so much time, and it can really affect how well you're able to sort of handle that. I think we had one instance where we were fighting with your own Kiekel earlier in the race, and I was riding along with Borja there,
Yep.
and we would have actually come out in front of Rfactor2 earlier in that stint, and I think Liam Duvall as well. But we got into a little fight there right at the end with your own Kiekel, and we cost ourselves about a second, and that dropped us back behind him, and we had to sort of scramble to get that in the later stints.
Yeah, absolutely. As mentioned earlier, there was quite a bit of a tussle between Boyer and the Mad Capes at the end of the race there.
Yeah.
How did you see it in the end? It didn't look too pretty on the broadcast. I'm certain it wasn't too pretty on the team radio either.
Well, I mean, that notwithstanding, you know, I know everybody's trying to scramble to get what they can at the end. I think with open wheel formula cars, you have to know what you have and what your hand holds, and really be able to sort of work with that at the end and not overextend your bounds of what you can and can't do with the car. If you want to do the banging racing, head up to Denton. It's only like 4.5, 5 hours away. They have an oval up there. They can convert it to a road course. But yeah, Texas Motor Speedway is where you need to do that. Not at Coda,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But again, I'm probably a little biased.
Yeah,
but
though. It's fine.
but
It's the
also-
overcut. We like biased. It's fine.
but yeah, I mean, I commentate on a lot, and I do see a lot of banging and bumping out there. And for Formula cars, that's not really the best thing to have happen.
No,
I'd like to see a
not
little
ideal.
bit cleaner, and hopefully there's some changes coming down the pipeline on the disciplinary committee side to sort of stop some of that. Because I think there's a lot of really good racers out there that maybe are looking GPVWC's way and are like, yeah, if it was a little bit cleaner, if it was a little bit, less, argy-bargy with your elbows out all the way down the straights on certain things and into corners, maybe that attract them in. That's something
Yep.
maybe we can look at in the off season. But overall, I mean, it's still fun racing. And, I'll say this out loud, Borja, we love you here at Epic. Come back. Don't leave me. Don't leave me, Borja.
Don't leave him with me, boy. Yeah, don't leave him with me. Good. Okay. So, I just want to quickly touch on that point about you're thinking other races might be looking in at GPVWC for the future and stuff. It's fair to say it's quite a welcoming community already. I mean, you've got Team Rookie Monsters in ITC. Do you reckon your team will start venturing into open wheelers as well? Is it something that you kind of want to expand within, or is it something you just want to keep on the low down for now?
Well, I mean, what I can say is I think it's definitely in the pipelines. I'm obviously not running the show necessarily on the Rookie Monsters aspect, so I can't completely comment on it, but I know it's in the pipeline. And I know we have a lot of guys who have raced in GPVWC. Matt Beavis being one of them, who's a really good talent, I think, in Formula Challenge right now for TR
absolutely.
Motorsports, doing a great job for that team right now. And I think having him and moving up the ranks is something that we're definitely going to look into. I don't know, maybe I can hop back into that green room and talk to Ben Horrell and see if we can get some sweet Red Bull money to help us on that.
Steady. All right.
But yeah, no, no. I think coming in, new teams is always going to be really good, and developing new talent and new teams within the series is just going to help this league more. And definitely having sort of an outlet for some technical partnerships and technical sharing of information to get these teams back up there. I know teams do it, and I think that's a great thing. And it only basically helps to strengthen the community league. So yeah.
Good. Excellent. Lovely answer there, Tyler. That was great. So we'll get you back to the green room so you can start those negotiations.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right. Thanks there, Lee.
Cheers now. Good. So that was an interesting perspective from Tyler there. one for the future again. I mean, towards the end of the season, you kind of want to start keeping one eye on the future, not just of the team or anything like that, but of the community as well. I think we all have a thing to an act to perform at GPVWC. We're all in it together at the end of the day, and it's only as ever good as the people that are in it. So yeah, good. Right, let's see if there's any more comments. There's a lot of negotiating on my behalf by Mike Pittman, which is always appreciated. Thank you, Mike. I think I don't quite think I can afford an SR8, but we'll see what we can work out. Yeah, maybe a 148 if you're right. Yeah, no bad shout there. Good. Right, who else is in there? So we're going to bring in Ben Horrell next, I think. So Ben's the manager of Red Bull Street Fighter, and obviously, as I was mentioning at the introduction, they've had a bit of a tough race. I think, as we were mentioning, relegation's looking pretty much a certainty. So let's get his perspective. I'm sure he has a couple of things that will spike interest in the discussions. So let's bring him in, see what he thinks. Hi there, Ben.
Ah, hello.
Hey there, Ben. How are you?
I'm not bad. Sorry, I just heard you about 3 times. I had you on the stream and in Discord. It's quite cool.
Oh, imagine 3 of me. You lucky, lucky guys.
That's one word for it.
Right then, Ben. So, as I said in the introduction, and just before I brought you in, I think it's a tough result for your guys today. I think it's kind of confirmed what we were all perhaps fearing, that relegation is now a big possibility. How do you feel?
About relegation?
Yeah.
Relaxed.
Okay.
Relaxed. Yeah.
Interesting. Is that because you might know something we don't, or?
No. I know. I know exactly the same as you guys, but I don't think. Yeah, I'm pretty confident we won't get relegated for this season. If I'm completely honest. There's arguments for and against, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, that's fair. So that's going to be an interesting off-season, isn't it? I mean, your season's not been the best. I think everyone's aware of that. I think you yourselves are aware of that. It's just not gone to plan this year. And yeah, I mean, it'd be a shame to lose you guys. Yeah, I think you guys bring a lot to Super League. What would you say is the one factor that's kind of made your season the season it's been? What would you put it mostly down to?
Ourselves. I'll be the first one to admit that we messed up with the upgrades quite early on, and we realised we messed up probably around Spain, so still quite early on, but we're quite stubborn, and that our way would come good. It didn't, and then we sort of switched, and it kind of worked. I think the gap at one point was about a second, just on chassis, so that was a tough one to take.
Oh, it's such a close grid as well. 1 second is you might as well be packing up, really, isn't it? Because you got capable drivers. You got Flo Gaia, who's a stalwart in GPVWC, one of the most popular guys out there again. You must feel particularly pained for him as well, not being able to give him the package that his talent perhaps deserves.
Oh yeah, we know if we give him a car, he'll be putting it right up there. We're not giving him the car at the minute, and he's putting it in. P10 and racing around in the lower end of the points, which it shouldn't be. Our car should be 27th and 28th. Flat out, that's where it should be. It should be there, but we're racing guys. Who
I mean, we were having to pass you on track this race, so yeah, it just goes to show.
Yeah, exactly.
How well you guys, your drivers are performing. That's right. So you made some interesting comments in the YouTube chat, which I did pick up on. You're on about teams that have been swapping drivers in and out more often than not, shall we say, throughout the season. So I just want to get your take on that in a little bit more detail, because obviously in some circumstances, unless you don't want cars on the grid, it has to happen, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Having 2 cars turn up is better than having no cars turn up.
Correct. So I think your argument was perhaps it's the quality of the drivers that they've been able to bring in throughout the season, sort of thing, is kind of almost, I don't know what the word is, manufacturing the pecking order as such.
Potentially, yeah. When you can bring in, guys that for a fact I'm going to do the full season. I'm going to do sort of, just 2 or 3 races, and they're going to be, really quick guys. I think it kind of sort of, you might as well make the championship sort of 6 rounds at that point, because there's not many teams that are sticking to their driver lineup. I think you highlighted there's 4 teams.
As far as I can tell, which I think is about bang on average for Super League, isn't it? I think in past years, I think it's a similar sort of turnover. But I completely get your point as well about, if you know the driver's not going to commit to a full season when you bring them in halfway through, then surely you should be looking at someone who's willing to commit and put the effort in. And sure, the results might not be there immediately, but you're investing into the future. Then you're nurturing the talent and stoking the interest. So I completely agree with you on that side of things. That's exactly what Epic does as well. So I can appreciate your approach there. So last 2 races now, obviously you're just going to try and get as good as you can. What would be a success for you in these last 2 races? What would you consider? Yep, that's good. That's what we wanted.
A win.
Yeah, well,
one of them.
Okay. Tricky.
I think if we can get both our cars to score points in the next 2 races, I think we've only had it once this season where both cars have scored points.
Okay.
So to get that in the last 2 races, form probably says we not going to do it, but we're pretty confident that we will. We've got some surprises up our sleeves for the last 2 races.
Oh, interesting. Are you gonna give us a little exclusive?
Not yet. But contracts have been signed for next season, and you may see a preview of those in Brazil and Abu Dhabi.
Oh, fantastic!
Potentially, either in the test session or the race. So keep your eyes peeled.
Good.
We're building more on next season now. We have been building on next season since about Monaco. So we developed our junior program. We've got a lot more people working with us now. So that's working really well. We've got a lot of people behind the scenes, and it's going to take time for that to come about. But we've got a long time until next season starts. So we're bringing new people in, and obviously it's working in ITC. We've got quite a lot of our guys down in ITC, where they seem to be working very well. Yeah,
I think George Sutton and Van der Hudden, is that 2 of your drivers?
Yep, and obviously I was teammates with Cliff at Frammy.
Yes, of course.
I believe he's one of your juniors. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, very very quick guy. Very very he's been testing me in that Civic.
Yes.
We've got a couple. We've got we had the TCS off team as well. They're working with us as well. So we've got
great.
We've got some guys from there as well helping us out. It's just pushing. Div 1, obviously we got our team all set up in Div 1. Just need a bit more luck in Div 1, and I think we've really
this is it. I think ITC Div 1's kind of the real Street Fighter, really, isn't it? It's when you guys are on it, you guys are right up there. So it's just unfortunate it's not come together this season. Just going back to your networking, it kind of ties in well with Tyler's point about nurturing those new teams and bringing them up through the ranks, sort of thing. Do you think GPVWC is in a good health in that regard with the quality of teams that are coming in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been around GPV now for 5-6 years, maybe 7 years now, and this is the most competitive grid I've seen. Not just in terms of the drivers, but the teams. We saw at the start of the year, ACR Zach Speed. That was a huge announcement. And then we had ourselves bringing Red Bull on board. That was
I think that was the big one. I think that was the huge one.
And then obviously we had Epic in the Radical deal as well. That's something 10 years ago people would have laughed about, and now it's commonplace to see these teams.
Absolutely.
Joining up with big manufacturers and big global sponsors.
Good. All right then, Ben. Well, I hope, fingers crossed for you guys in the last 2 races. We'd love to see you guys get some good results to finish off the year with, and we'll see what happens in the off season. All right.
Yeah, cheers, and yourself.
Perfect. Cheers, Ben. Cool. So there's a view from a team manager there, right at the bottom end of the grid, unfortunately, but interesting perspective still. I mean, you see the different targets. They just want a double points finish in Super League, and small victories like that kind of can snowball into something big for the next year. So fingers crossed they can pull it off, because like I said, Flow Guy, he's a proper talent and he shouldn't be down where he is. So fingers crossed he can pull the rabbit out of the hat as such. Right, I had a question on YouTube from my ghost producer, no less. So he's just sat in the background, mic's off, he's not actually getting involved properly. But he's asking, did you say there are different types of fuel? Does that work in sim racing? Not quite different types of fuel. No, they all run the same fuel. There's no refueling in Super League either. I think that's something that might have to change at some point, just to spice up a little bit, maybe, if any of the admin are listening in. But there are different types of tires and stuff, different compounds. And so it's much like real life motorsports. Some tires offer more grip, but at the expense of less life and stuff like that. Basic stuff, really. And that crosses over into sim racing as well. So as we saw today, there was a lot of different strategies with all the different tires. The Mad Cates managed to make the medium, which lasts the longest but offers the least amount of grip to really get far into the race without having to make a pit stop. And then you got other guys like Yaltian, who was just cruising on the ultra soft, putting in quality laps here, there, everywhere. But then, of course, the tires only lasted for about 12 laps or so before he had to make another pit stop. So it's that kind of strategy which makes Super League incredible anyway. The tires are really bang on form this year, I believe. I echo Dennis Jordan's comments about the tires. I think they've really nailed it in terms of drivability and life. I think it's a really great job by the mod team there. So kudos. Right, so we're still going. We've still got loads of people in the green room. I think we've got about 15 minutes left, so we can still bring some more people in. So I'm going to bring in another team manager, this time at the other end of the grid. So it's going to be Mike Pittman, who's manager of ACR Zaxpeed. 1.5 hands on the trophies now, I'd say. So it'll take a lot for them to lose it. And it'll always be interesting to get a bit of perspective from Mike. He's always one with quite an interesting opinion. So let's bring him in and see what he has to say. Hi there, Mike.
Hey, well, that was lucky.
Well, hey,
I just
lucky
stopped
how?
talking. I just stopped talking. And it would have been
no.
inappropriate. So we're fine.
No, we don't want it inappropriate. We want loads of inappropriate.
We were just saying that I had a drinking session with Ben Hole that lasted technically longer than his season of racing this year has.
Hey.
So, yeah.
Nice. All right. So you're nearly there. You are nearly there. Surely you must be thinking, okay, I think we're done. I think we've got it. Surely.
Oh God, no. No, I'm not thinking that at all.
No?
If you'd asked me halfway through the race as well, I really wasn't thinking that. It was. Thanks for having me back, though. By the way, on this.
That's all
good. So yeah, it's never over until particularly as it's not as easy as it was at the start of the season for us. I suppose we were doing rather well then. We had a bit of a advantage over certain teams, which we don't have anymore. It's a lot closer than it ever was. Arguably at this track, Edge had the advantage over us by a decent margin this time out, realistically.
Yep.
We have got that buffer, which is nice, but I'm fully aware that, what we saw today happened to Yo. If that happened to one of my guys, then we're back to dire straits and really worrying and counting every single little point. So,
sure.
I'd rather be in this position than Edge's position, sure, but and I've got faith in the guys to do it. It's still a little bit squeakier than it was, than I'd like it to be.
So, did you kind of foresee that as the season comes to a close, that the teams would bunch back up together? I suppose rate of development would start to slow down a wee bit. The gains wouldn't be so big for the front-running teams as they would be for the teams chasing up and stuff like that. So, was it kind of expected that eventually you guys would kind of lose your advantage?
Yeah, I think that's kind of how the league built the system, really. The fact that all the teams, well, the vast majority of teams are theoretically within about a tenth or two of each other. Says a lot, really. At certain points during the year, it wasn't like that. You guys even got a jump on us at one point. Obviously, that then gets caught up depending on certain areas that get developed. That's what I do love about this league is that really, it does sort of come back together again. You've got the even cars at the very first race, and you've got pretty even cars come the last race as well. Yeah, we are seeing a couple of teams that are probably dropping off the boil a little bit who've stopped developing. But even them, they've developed the key areas already to the max near enough. So
yeah, it kind of keeps them in touch still, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're not like, they're not in previous years where we've seen, 8 seconds between. I love it for that reason. It is unpredictable. It's great as a viewer. I'm involved in it as well. Doing my show, it keeps me interested doing my show.
Yes, yeah.
It's pretty boring otherwise.
I know how you feel.
Exactly. So it's great to. There is certain times where I do think if we still had a nice 2-second cushion every race, every lap, that'd be nice.
2 seconds a lap.
At this
Come
stage,
on.
maybe Rudy was at that level, but like, times, there's been drivers at times in that if you've got the right car and the right driver over the course of when you look historically back, they're unbeatable.
Yeah.
But that's not quite the case nowadays. The grid itself and the quality of the drivers up and down the field now is incredible. You can't now take a back of the grid penalty and assume you're going to get yourself onto the podium.
Yeah,
you struggle to get into the top 10 sometimes, unless you're Dennis Jordan and somehow.
Yeah, that was an amazing drive from Dennis Jordan. What did you make of that drive?
Well, yeah, great. I mean, to be honest, I know Risto's a little bit annoyed that he didn't sort of follow him really, having that little spin and stuff. And there was a bit of luck, effectively 2 top cars dropped out. So really, top 5 or 6 is sort of where you kind of battle back to from a back of the grid, I suppose, in best case scenario, unless you get rain or something like that. So it's a good race for him. He's had a great season really, and now he's got Bock there next to him as well. That team has kicked on and pushed you guys aside really.
Don't we know it? Yeah, I was going to say. Thanks, Mike.
Right.
So
maybe it's a story of two halves of the season for you guys, for you and Evolution, I think, where.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just opposites, isn't it? They had the slow start, we had the quick start, and no, it's vice versa. Yeah,
it's what happens next year.
Yeah, precisely. So talking of next year, a lot of people are suggesting that Dennis Jordan should be in ACR colours next year. I'll ask the hard question: Is that a possibility?
Anything's possible. You could have a drive.
Did you hear that? We'll get that down on paper.
we're very blessed to have an awful lot of talent within ACR across many different platforms and even at GPV at different series up and down the ladder. So there's an awful lot of. It's a nice problem to have, I suppose, with an awful lot of talent kicking around. With lots of different levels of experience. So nothing's decided and signed for yet either. So I suppose it is up for grabs in that respect. But when you've got 2 drivers in the top 3 in the standings already in the car, I'm in no rush to particularly replace.
Yeah, I completely understand that. Yep. So if that's the case, obviously you've got a link with Evolution. I think everyone knows about that. So would you be happy to see Dennis Jordan and Yannick Bock still in that team for next year? Do you have any say in it? Even I don't really know how much you're involved on that side of things.
It's Dennis's team. Bock isn't an ACR driver.
Isn't he? Oh,
no,
I thought. No.
So it does what Dennis is, of course. So in that respect, we do talk about things, and I think we decide things to a certain degree together, I suppose. But at the same time, ultimately, I couldn't go to Dennis and go, "This is your lineup." It doesn't work like that. It's not that kind of. Nothing works that way, and equally, he couldn't come to me. So it kind of, it's not built on a. I know some people see us as, call it whatever you want, Satan or whatever I've been called over the time, and many different words that I probably can't say on here. But actually, when you're in the team, it's a very different scenario. And actually, what we have built together is fantastic, and the guys have worked fantastic well together this year. Dennis is a good friend of some of the guys anyway. So keeping these guys, and they're on longer term contracts within the team, just whether or not they race at GPVWC or elsewhere or whichever is a different matter. We've had other people step in. SimNews came and stepped in this year as well. We helped Evolution with that. Did very well. We've got Monex in there as our reserve driver. He's been doing. In fact, he's done the most laps of anybody this year in the third free practice. So got us the most R&D points possible.
Just out of interest, how many laps do you reckon he's done?
How many?
Yeah,
I haven't
off
got the
top of your
figure.
head.
I haven't got the figure to hand
Yeah.
off the top of my head, but I know he has worked it out because I've got a on that I've got a scrutiny show about test drivers coming up. So
Oh,
I do have all
exciting.
the data kicking around. But yeah, no,
Fantastic.
like today, for example, him and Mo for Edge did the most.
Yep.
Roughly 1 lap extra than most people. So yeah,
Yeah.
that sort of thing makes a big difference over the season that people don't see at all, and that's what's going into this league is that sort of level there. Let alone the fact, of course, he's also doing rather well in Super Cup, along with Stefan. Yeah, that's a new record for GPVWC in Super Cup. So can't really go wrong with that, can you?
So, were you caught out by Edge's engine loophole exploitation?
I
If
think
you
it's
want to call it that.
I think it's pretty clear from the Discord that I was. We'll stick with that wording for now, if you'd like. Yeah.
yeah. I was trying to keep it as loose as possible.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I called it that myself. That's what they've gone with it, so we'll call it that. Yes, I was caught out by it because, as I've said, I had questioned.
I was going to say you had discussions about that rule yourself, didn't you?
I've had questions about that rule myself, and was told a completely different story to what happened. So where we go from here, I'm not quite sure. I think either way, it needs clearing up for the future, particularly for next year, if not for this, because arguably it won't be the only, that sort of thing could easily happen over the next 2 rounds because it's more likely to nowadays at the end of the season.
That's right.
And then the Jarl decision, I expected. I even said so on my show. I'd probably done the same because it allows him to take, even if he loses the appeal, allows him to take his penalty next time out. Where he hasn't already selected his engine, so he could select a new engine there and take the penalty anyway on top of the penalty he's going to get. So it makes more sense from a team perspective. Of course, that didn't particularly help him out here.
Not particularly.
But nonetheless.
You must have had a bit of a wry smile when that went up in smoke.
No, you don't really have having a smile is harsh because actually that's saying that like somebody that you don't like that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I was more relieved. I think, if I'm honest, I was really counting up the points, going right. Edge, you're getting 45 points. We're potentially or 40 points. I mean, I was like, oh god, what are we going to get out of this? So my maths was starting to go in at that stage a little bit. I think we had second anyway.
I think he did. Yeah. Team was on Ultra Sauce again, wasn't he? So they were just going to, even if he caught up to Alex, they weren't going to last.
No, so I think it was great to battle because at one point I didn't think we were going to get anywhere near either of them. I thought they were off into the distance. But then you could argue, as you were talking about the engine there, you can argue, as Jarl said, Petter had a 0.4 of a difference on him. If he started at the back of the grid, as in my opinion he should have, then it could be a completely different race. You don't have free air, you don't have all your fuel management, you don't have all that sort of stuff. You're battling away, you might get a touch. All these little things can happen. Just ask Risco and Dennis, no doubt.
Yes,
who had to do the same thing. I know people argue the complete opposite. So that's perfectly fine. They did what they wanted to do. I've done the same thing in the past. I push the limits myself. I often get reined back in, and maybe somebody else will find that problem as well. Maybe they won't. I don't know. It's not up to me to decide. Yeah, basically.
Watch this space. Absolutely.
Somebody needs to decide.
I'm sure.
That was more the concern. I think this time out is that it came about an hour before the race.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true. Because
had it all been told, presumably when they selected the engines 4 days ago, then people could have had the debate, decided it, and the race could have happened, and the viewer would know that definitely the result that happened. But by keeping it quiet and telling everyone an hour before the race, knowing they can only have done it to know that people would have kicked off.
Do you think the result's in doubt?
I'm going to make it in doubt to a degree. But whether or not that means anything at all, more in doubt as in I need a clarification on the rule. Whether or not any result would change is a whole different matter altogether. I'm not going to be after that. It was more just something needs deciding because it wasn't made before the race, so it needs making after the race. That's what the admins have to do.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. Good.
It was an incredible drive, though, I must say, from Petter. Regardless, he was untouchable today. So regardless if he should have been there or not, driving perspective, incredible drive.
Good. Excellent. We'll leave it at that. always a pleasure, Mike.
Yeah.
All right.
Bud.
Take care.
Cheers.
There we go, Mike Pittman. Always an interesting opinion to get on board there. So if you guys have any responses to what he says, that would be more than interested to see what you have to say. So we've got about 5 minutes left. And just have a quick check on the Discord, see what's going on here. Nothing much. Now, there is one person who's been waiting in the green room the whole time. I think he was one of the first to come in. I don't think he's actually racing. Well, obviously he's not racing in Super League, and he's not involved with any team as far as I'm aware in Super League. So this is just purely a viewer perspective, a fan perspective per se. So it's Robert Strachan, I should say. I can't even pronounce his name. We're going to quickly bring him in, have a quick chat. I expect this to go downhill very quickly, but we love him all the same. Let's bring him in, see what he says, if he turns his mic on. There we go. Here we go. Hello. Hello, Robert.
What? What have I done?
Ah, here we go.
Oh, God, I've been brought in here again.
High quality as always. 3 times we brought you on here, and 3 times you've messed up.
I can't help it. It's a feature. Do you guys like the cursed image I put in the overcut Discord chat? Yeah.
It's it's quite a sight. So, did you watch the race?
I missed like the first corner because that's fun. I basically joined in from lap 2 onwards.
Okay, you didn't miss much on the first lap, apart from Jeffrey Fournier gaining 9 positions, but we'll put that to the side. It's fine. So, what did you make of the race?
It was a thing.
It was
Cars
a
went
thing.
round. Cars made noise. Your team tried to make a barbecue.
Yeah, he was successful as well. There were flames and everything.
I know. It
It was
was
beautiful.
nice. Also, Michael Ayers is set for sack because he didn't finish P11. He
Yeah.
either DNFs or finishes P11, and he finished P12. So I mean, he's going to get sacked.
How dare he? That's not in the contract. No. So,
Anything else, or am I just here for comedic value?
well, yeah, usually. I usually rely on you to like finish the show off on a laugh, but I don't know, man. What's what's going on? I mean,
What's
your
going
plans?
on? I missed the 9 hours of Indy for VEC because my computer decided to shit itself repeatedly. And now I've got like 3 of my 8 RAM slots working. My CPU's overloading constantly. My GPU's overheating.
You're trying to barbecue yourself, aren't you? Nice.
Yes.
Good stuff.
I'm
Excellent.
trying to Jarltine my whole house.
Yes. Awesome. We'll be able to see that from space. It's wonderful. If only a rocket would work. So what's your plans for GPVWC? Are you just hanging around trolling? Are you gonna throw in some hard memes?
I was gonna do the Academy series, and then I suck, so I need to actually, get good in open wheelers. So maybe at some point when I'm not fucking busy as shit with uni and stuff. Because
What about ITC?
ITC?
Yeah.
Let's not.
Why?
I'll horror smash everyone.
I see. I haven't seen any of Div 2, so I don't get that, but I can try and figure it out.
Well, let's just say he's banned from ITC Division 2.
Is he really?
Yes. He has been told to please do not return here ever again. Thank you.
Oh no, we need to get Tim in.
We need to.
Oh, where is he? We can get some revengeance on that. I mean, come on. Gutted. No, I never even realised that. I even spoke to Ben. He didn't even mention that. Typical.
It's because you didn't bring up ITC.
I did. I said Street Fighter were doing well in Div 1.
Well,
and he said that he partnered Cliff.
Yeah, he did.
Should we bring him back in?
I mean, he's probably in the middle of a conversation, so sure,
Even
see
better.
what interesting conversation you can get.
Nah, we'll leave it.
Just leave him alone.
Yeah, let him
Rest in
stew.
peace. Let him stew, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add, Robert, before we wrap this up?
Flag to flag 2019 world champion. Michael Ayres,
What?
World Drivers Constructors Champion.
What?
That is all. Easy. Just,
But nah,
yeah,
nah.
trust me.
They keep taking our cars out in the first place. so-
Exactly. If they take
No.
out the entire field, they'll win. Easy.
They must have the strongest cars out in the field. I swear to God.
Well, I
it's,
don't know. Have you seen the weight of the SRS? Things possibly like getting hit by a dump truck.
Oh
I mean,
man.
that front wing's so like overdeveloped, it'll like scoop you up and send you straight to space.
Maybe that was their tactic all along. It's just it wasn't fast enough to keep up with the rest of them. Okay, right.
Alright, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
I've successfly ruined another stream.
Perfect. That's what
Perfect.
you're here for. It's all good. Nice one.
Yay. Alright,
See you later. Bye bye. Good. Right. I think that's a wrap. We've hit an hour. I think that was a successful episode. I think I actually stayed connected for the whole time, which is a vast improvement. So, thanks to everyone who's got involved tonight. Thank you to all the interviewees. Always been a pleasure to chat with you guys. Perhaps the guys that we wouldn't necessarily be able to speak to on the official broadcast. So, really good. Keep bringing your feedback in. Obviously, this is just the third episode, so I'm still learning. This is literally the third time I've done streaming. So, yeah, keep bringing the feedback in. I'll take it on board. I know a lot of people are asking for like the standings to be shown on the stream, but I can't be asked to get that going at the moment. I will get it done as soon or later, maybe for 2019. Maybe that'll be fancy then. We'll see. Anyway, thanks again, guys. Lovely time. Great race tonight, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Cheers now.